Hi everyone, welcome to So Fun. I'm really happy to be here with you today to show you all the fun projects we have for September. I'm also really excited because we're doing this live in the stores and I haven't been able to do that in a long time, so I'm happy to be able to talk to you and see all the things you've been working on and gather together again. Let me jump right in and show you the first project I want to tell you about. It's these really cute either storage or gift boxes by Pickle Pie Designs, and you guys know that I really like her stuff. It's called A Slice of Sweetness, and they're these darling little pie-shaped boxes that are put together with cam snaps. And I know a couple months ago Terry had cam snaps and a little set of cam snap pliers. It's a little hard to say all together. That she had. So if you bought those when Terry did it, here's another thing that you can use them for, and if you did it, you can order those in the store. So the lid comes right off, just lifts off like this. It's super darling. This one just has little wonder clips in it, but this would make a darling little gift box. You don't have to obviously do it in Christmas fabric, but it just looks like a cute little piece of pie. What gives this cute little box its rigidity is this. It's called Timtex, and it's a really heavyweight stabilizer that got like a heavyweight interfacing. Not quite as stiff as Peltex, but similar to that. And this package is enough to make a set of these. This comes in 3 sizes, and it's enough to make all 3 of them in this little package. If you wanted to make multiples for gifts for Christmas or things like that, then you could buy a whole roll of a product that's very similar to this that they carry in the stores. But this package will make all 3 sizes of this. Mallory actually did this for me this month because she has about 1 million different kinds and colors of cam snaps and a big cam snap press that works really well. And she said that these were super quick and easy, and she's going to make lots more because they're really, really darling. So I really enjoy By Annie patterns. Her patterns are very thoughtfully designed. The instructions are really, really great, and almost all of them, including this one, come with add-on videos that when you buy the pattern, you get a code to download the add-on videos that kind of walk you through either step-by-step or some of the most challenging steps with making her patterns. This one is called A Room with a View, and it sews up into these cooled, like square zipper storage containers that have clear vinyl in the front so you can see what's inside of them. It comes in 3 sizes, and they're very, very generously sized. This is the small and the medium. I didn't even make the largest size. But they really make up really, really cool. And I want to tell you a couple of the things I learned in the construction of this. One of the things that I learned is to be super careful about how you are measuring and cutting. And like all of her patterns, it comes with a sheet in the back that labels each piece as you cut it. And you can clip it to the piece or pin it to the piece. Because when I was making this medium-sized one, I accidentally looked at the wrong little label and cut the this main body piece is one long piece of quilted fabric that you quilt to the soft and stable stabilizer. Like all of her patterns, this uses soft and stable. And I accidentally cut it just a little bit too short because I looked at the wrong one. And there's no going back from that. You can't solve that problem in any way. But I was lucky enough that because of the pattern that I have of my fabric and where it fell on the pattern, because you sew a line all the way down in each of the 4 corners to kind of help the corners stay stable. The line that I measured to sew down on the corner to stitch down fell exactly where I pieced the two pieces together. So when I look at this, I can see that something is slightly off, but I don't think that anybody else would ever notice that. So I got super lucky. So be careful when you're measuring. This pattern also uses the By Annie's mesh because it has a mesh zippered pocket in the lid, which is super useful. And I did this with white mesh, and this is what I have for you today. However, another great thing I have for you today is this sampler pack of By Annie's mesh that includes every color of mesh that By Annie's uses. So what's super useful about this is if you're working on a project and you've picked out the perfect, really fun fabric that you want to use, then you can flip through this and decide the exact color of mesh that's going to look great against whatever your fabric is. And so I feel like this is a really handy guide to have. And By Annie's, these colors are handbag zippers, mesh, and fold over elastic. So many of her patterns use her handbag zippers and use her fold over elastic, and these colors of mesh are the same colors of the zippers and the fold over elastic. So this is a really handy guide just to have in your sewing room to refer to when you're working on your project. Like I said, they both use soft and stable. The other thing that they do is use this polypro strapping that go inside the handles that go on the top and also the two side handles. So inside the fabric is this polypro strapping, and we have that for you today. And then I decided on this one not to use the By Annie zippers because I found these really fun zipper by the yard zippers. And so I brought two different colors for you today. This one is a black and white striped zipper tape, and it has gold hardware and lots of zipper pulls that come with it. This one is navy and white striped zipper tape and has silver and silver hardware with it. And these are a little bit like the Sally Tomato zippers in that they look like metal, but they're really nylon. So they're very easy to sew with, and you can cut them with your regular scissors, and they're not going to hurt your scissors. These are even longer, though, than the By Annie's and the Sally Tomato. This is 118 inches of zippers. And so there's lots here to make lots and lots of projects, and they're just so cute with that striped zipper tape. So I used it in here on the mesh pocket and of course all the way around. These can nest together really easily for storage, and if you make the larger, even the larger size, these two will fit inside of the largest size. So again, this is the medium and the small. They could hold a ton of stuff. These would be darling in a baby's room or a toddler room or a kid room to hold, you know, all their many things and help corral that. They'd be super cute to organize stuff in a craft or sewing room. There's just lots and lots of useful ways that you can use this. They'd be great in a closet to hold some of your things in a really attractive way. Like I could picture these being cute with like socks in them or something like that. So I feel like this is a really fun pattern. Lots of variety and lots of cool things that you can do with it. One of the really cool notions that I have for you today that I want to show you that I used on these bags is this new item, and it's called the Totally Tubular Pressing Station. And let me show you what it's like. If I can get it off. So that just folds back. comes with directions, and you screw the base together. This is kind of like a little unboxing video. It's going to be so much fun. So it comes with a base and this stand that hooks right in to the base, like this. Snaps right in really easily. And then it has two other sections that you can snap onto the top. A really skinny one and a slightly bigger one. So this is a genius idea. It's one of those things that, golly, I wish I had thought of inventing it. It's very, very stable. As you can see, very easy to put together. And here's what's so genius about it. When you are making something like this, and it's really hard to press inside of here, especially on something, and we all know that pressing is what makes your projects really look nice and professionally done. The other thing is that you have to be super careful that you're not, this is vinyl, clear vinyl, and if you accidentally hit this with the edge of your iron, you know what's going to happen. So what's really great is that you can slide this right into here and use this surface, so you can turn it over this way where you have a bigger surface. Now you're going to set this on your ironing board, so it's a little hard for me to show you this on this flat surface. But if it's on the ironing board and you have the end of the ironing board, you can see that this raises this up and gives you a flat surface to really get in there and press this all really nicely. This is great for pressing sleeves on a garment that you're sewing. This is great for other kinds of like little zippered bags, and because you have 3 different sides that you can press against, and it's very stable, it really lends itself. It's great for pressing all different kinds of bags and bag construction. It's great for little zippered pouches. It's really good for anything that you're trying to press where you need to press something without getting it all flattened out. It's a little bit like using a rectangular firm surfaced pressing ham, and we've talked about those before. It's so fun. But it gives you this really, it's very nicely finished, it's all smoothly sanded and everything, and it's not going to snag anything, it's not going to give you splinters or anything like that. And then it's just super easy if you want to store it in the box to take it apart. As I say that, it really is. It just snaps right. There we go. I was doing it the opposite way of where it goes. It just snaps apart. Clicks back together, snaps apart. Super, super cool idea. Another one that I really wish that I would have invented myself. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this book. This book is called Love Your Space, Love Your Creative Space. Some of you know that I have been building a new house, and because of COVID, there have been a million delays. So many supply chain problems, delays in permitting, so many labor shortages, so many delays. It's taken over 13 months to get my house built, but I just moved in to my brand new house 4 weeks ago. Things are still in boxes in some rooms, and I feel like my whole neighborhood is just dirt because nobody has backyards and there's construction still going on everywhere. And only me and my next door neighbor have our houses finished. The whole rest of my street is still under construction. So just lots and lots of dirt and boxes are my life right now. But one of the things I'm super excited about is that I will have a really big, nice sewing room, craft room that I can just design to be whatever I want. And it has lots of windows and natural light. And so I really have enjoyed this book. It's called Love Your Creative Space, a visual guide to creating an inspiring and organized studio without breaking the bank. And it is chock full. Well, it's beautifully photographed, but it's chock full of really great ideas. And they give you some really great guidelines that talk about workflow and talk about thinking, you know, within this diameter circle, here's the kinds of tools that you might need close at hand, and then a slightly larger circle, and then a slightly larger circle out of that. So they really kind of walk you through the design ideas that will help you utilize your space to the best of its capacity to make it really useful for whatever crafts you particularly like to do. So they have lots of different great, I mean, it's just really, really comprehensive, chock full of lots of great ideas. The chapters are things like my stuff, soft surfaces, tool stuff, sticky stuff, blingy stuff, just all kinds of, the way they have it categorized is sort of creative, which really suits. And then they walk you through ways to set it up, how to corral cords, how to evaluate your space. They talk about walls and floors, task lighting, really comprehensive. And then at the end, they highlight several different makers and their unique spaces and show you, here's the kind of art that they do, the craft or the sewing or whatever, and here's how they have organized their little studio space to best help them. And so it's been a really great resource to me. Here, one of the makers that they highlight is someone who has, doesn't have full use of one of her hands. And so she talks about ways that she has created her space to accommodate her own needs. And I just find things like that super helpful and really, really inclusive. Lots of really great ideas. So this has been just a really wonderful resource guide to me, and as soon as I'm done with So Fun, my next big project is going to be creating and organizing my sewing and craft room. So I'm kind of excited to get going on that, but I feel like this is a really great resource that even if you're not starting from scratch, if you already have a room but it isn't quite working as effectively and efficiently for you as you would like, this book will really help you come up with some really, really great ideas to help with that. And it's beautiful. Has lots of great ideas. Okay, let's talk about some embroidery here. This is a brand new disc by Kimberbell, and it's called Home for the Holidays. And it has 8 different designs for stockings and wall hangings and aprons and tea towels and pillows and coasters and just all kinds of things. And the designs are really, really darling. And like all Kimberbell products, super easy to follow instructions, and the finished products just come out really, really nice. I really like them. Mallory kind of fell in love with one of the pillows on here, and so that's what she made. This really cute Home for the Holidays pillow, and this just fits her decor to a T. She has lots of grays and black and white and little pops of red here and there, and this is just going to look darling. This pillow utilizes raw edge applique, and it also uses sticky back stabilizer. So pick up a roll of sticky back stabilizer while you're in the stores for So Fun, because you're going to need it for a lot of these Kimberbell projects, and it just works really beautifully for that. One of the fun things I like about this pattern is it's really adaptable to almost any decor style and any decor colors. It just works really, really well and lends itself to lots of fun things. I particularly like this fa la 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 pillow that is appliqued and then chenilled. And so I think that's probably going to be on my to be made list pretty soon. One of the great little notions that I have found is this pair of tweezers. It's called Easy Tweezy from Gypsy Quilter. And we all have a million pairs of tweezers. But what I like about these is they have the tiniest, sharpest little points on there. And I have just found these so useful for all kinds of embroidery. I mean, it can really get in there and grab those little jump stitches, so they're really easy to clip. It can get in there and pull out the stabilizer in between where if you need that to happen. The other thing that I have used these for so much is paper piecing, because they can really get in there and get the paper out of in between all the tiny little stitches when you're paper piecing. So sometimes when you pull the paper off the back, it doesn't come off cleanly, especially down where it comes into little points. And these are just really a fabulous little pair of tweezers. The finish is a little bit textured, so they're very easy. They're not slippery or slidey in your hand. They're very easy to hold. And they have they're a little bit longer than some of the other tweezers that I have. And so they fit nicely in your hand. And like I said, they're really easy to hold on to. So I just find that, boy, this is one of those things that has earned its real estate next to my sewing machine. And I just keep these at hand almost all the time. They're also really great for getting down into your sewing machine. If you get thread caught down in there, grab it and pull it out really easily. They're really awesome. So Easy Tweezy, ultra fine tweezers. They just work great. I'm always looking for clothing that I can make that's going to be easy to wear and that I'm going to actually want to wear. And I really fell in love with this pattern for the Hudson top and pants. It's pretty versatile. You can make it in a short, almost not quite cropped, but just the natural waist or right below the natural waist, or a long tunic version. And the one I made is probably somewhere in between those two. I originally cut the long tunic version and tried it on, and I'm like, this is way, way, way too long. It was like a dress. So I cut 6 inches off the bottom and made it into something that's kind of in between. It has this really easy sort of cowl, soft, kind of floppy collar that is just a tube that you sew on to the top. And then I zipped this up on my serger, and it was truly a quick and easy make. So I just serged the seams, and then I serged the bottom of the raw edge of the fabric and pressed up the hem and secured the hem with a really small, skinny zigzag stitch, because I don't have a cover stitch machine. But if you want a cover stitch machine, I know where you can get hooked up with one. The other change I made to this is the sleeves, instead of having a rolled sleeve, because this pattern originally is made for woven fabric, but I found this really, really soft brushed knit that I wanted to use. So the sleeve was not going to hold itself rolled up very well. So I just turned up an inch or like 3/4 of an inch and made a casing and put elastic at the sleeve. So the sleeve is kind of like a little blousey and elastic, and it's going to hit me right a little above the wrist, and I think that's a really cute length. The other thing I want to tell you about this pattern is that it is very generously sized. I made the medium because almost always I'm a medium, And it was so big that I literally resurged it 2 inches up where the sleeve is inset, and then gradually tapered it down to the bottom of the sleeve and the bottom of the, towards the hem on the sides. So I took it in 2 inches on both sides, and it's still very loose and flowy on me. So just kind of keep that in mind when you are making this, and it's a super quick make, a couple hours probably, and it is very, very generously sized. But it's very soft and kind of flowy and comfortable, and I think I'm really going to wear this a lot this fall when the weather is just really nice and not too hot and not too cold, my favorite time of year. The other garment that I made is the Lycan Duster. And the Lycan Duster is by Sew Liberated. And again, this also comes with a couple different variations. You can make it shorter or longer. Some of the variations are just straight across on the bottom, and some have a dropped hem on the bottom, so the back is longer than the front. And that's the variation I did. I made it longer, and it's longer in the back than the front. And one of the things that you can do it belted or not belted, and I chose not belted. But one of the things that I love about this pattern is that it is really a skill builder pattern. And she has some really good videos on her website that walk you through the construction process, because it is a little bit challenging in a couple of areas. It's probably not a beginner pattern. So this is very much a beginner garment pattern, and this one is for, I would say, an advanced beginner, or edging towards, someone who is comfortable sewing garments. But it's a skill builder pattern. She walks you through several different techniques for finishing seams, and then at each step she gives suggestions for what seam finishing technique will work best for that particular part of the garment construction. And her add-on videos show you how to do that step by step, and it's really nice. So let me show you a couple of the different seam finishing techniques that I chose to use based on the fabric that I chose to make this out of. On the inside of this, you can see that the facing, what I did, one of the finishing techniques that I used for the facing was to encase the facing edge in bias tape. And you can just use pre-made bias tape, and it gives a really nice, clean finish to all the facings that run all the way up the front on both sides and around the back across the collar. Another suggested seam finishing is to do a flat felled seam, and she gives you instructions for how to do these, and they look really nice. And so because of the way this is constructed, there's going to be times when you will see the inside of this. So you want your seams to be finished really nicely. And the flat felled seam, everything is stitched down, and it looks top stitched on the outside, as you can see. A flat felled seam is what's on like the seams on the sides of your jeans that you buy. Almost always those are flat felled seams. The side seams, we could not do a flat felled seam. It didn't work for the construction. So what I did is I serged those seams. So I sewed it straight on my sewing machine, then serged the edge, then pressed it over and top stitched the side seam down on the outside so that it made that consistent look with the flat felled seam that I had on the gores of the skirt of this. So that worked really well. When stitching the back top to the back bottom, we used a French seam to enclose all that. And if you've never sewn a French seam, they're super easy, and she shows you how to do that. And there's a way that she shows you on when you're insetting the sleeves. Depending on your fabric, you can finish those seams several different ways. Mine are serged, because that worked best for the fabric that I chose. But on her video on her website, she also shows how to encase that shoulder seam in bias binding so it lays nice and flat towards the sleeve, because you want to press the shoulder seam down towards the sleeve. It didn't work to encase it in binding for me because she hand stitched that down all around, and the fabric that I chose, those hand stitching threads, would probably, you'd be able to see those on the outside of my fabric, and so I did not choose that method. So you can see the flat felled seams running all the way down. This also has pockets that are inset on the side, and the way those are constructed, they're completely lined with this fabric, so they look really nice and they feel nice on the inside. It has this like folded over lapel that she walks you through how to construct, and the little shawl collar that folds back. And so it just is a really great skill builder pattern, and I think this is going to be a really versatile piece. It'll be great for layering in the fall, and it will really go with just about everything that I own because, well, navy blue is kind of my color. I have rolled up and cuffed the sleeves because the back of my fabric kind of looks like a darker navy blue satin of some kind. I just kind of got lucky that way. But otherwise, it's just a straight sleeve end like this. So if you are up for increasing your garment sewing skills a little bit and want to try something that's going to take you to the next level, I think this is a great pattern because the instructions walk you through so nicely step by step, and her add-on instructions on her website are really, really clear and really nice to follow along. And I think that you'll really enjoy it. I'm excited to tell you about some of the really useful notions that I discovered that I've used this month, and so fun. The first one is another version of Sew Tights, and I know that we have shown you many different versions of Sew Tights, but I really love these ones. I say that for all the things, don't I? They are Tula Pink Sew Tights because, well, what's not to love about that? And they're shaped like a heart. And they say TP plus U, Tula Pink and us. Like all the other Sew Tights, you just slide the back off. The magnet is very strong. And these are the shape and size of these, super, super useful in lots of bag making applications where you really can't pin, and also super useful for paper piecing. Or if you do the English paper piecing by hand, which I do not, but still for the sewing machine paper piecing, super useful for holding things, especially for starting those first pieces that you're stitching down on your pattern. This little package comes as a set of 5, and they are like all of the Sew Tights, super strong little magnets, and they're darling and hot pink, and the shape and size is really useful. I like them a lot. The next really cool discovery is these are called hot pins, and they come in this darling little heart-shaped box, canister, whatever it is, and it comes with 4 sets of 26 hot pins. Each side opens individually, and each pin, they're shaped like these little purple hexagons. Each pin has a letter on one side and a number on the other. So this is K or 10. And this little box has 4 sets of 26, so the whole alphabet. And letters starting with 0, A is 0, and then going up to 25, since you start with 0. I have used these so much this month with quilting and also with some of the bag making where I have lots and lots of little pieces cut out that I need to keep track of. They're very long, the pins are very long and nice and sharp and pretty skinny, so they slide through your fabric and stuff really easily. I will tell you that it didn't take me very long to get these all mixed up together. So mine no longer have A through Z in all four of these things, I'm sorry to say, and I'm really gonna be okay with that, I think. But super useful. They also are called hot pins because you can iron over these and the tops are not going to melt, which is really, really great. I love these. Another really cool and useful item that I have is this magnetic pin picker-upper that is on this telescoping wand. It has a very strong magnet on it, but genius idea. It also has a really bright LED light on it. Because how many times do you pick up, you know, drop a pin or something somewhere where you can't see it? It's like back behind your sewing machine on the floor, or it's underneath your table by the cords. And I don't know if you are like me, but when I know that I have dropped a pin, I stop immediately everything I'm doing right then and find the pin, mainly because I really don't want to find the pin with my bare foot at a later time. So this also has become a really valuable tool. The magnet is super strong, the light is super bright, and it has this nice kind of soft spongy handle that you can hold on to, and it extends quite long. So again, a great, great little tool to help you on your way. One of the things that I will say about this tool, the light is a game changer, and also the magnet's really strong and it extends really far, and it's sturdy and it feels like really good quality when you're holding it and using it. It doesn't feel like it will bend easily at all. And some of the other ones that I have found and tried to use before were much more flimsy or didn't extend that long, or I had one that the magnet was so weak it wouldn't even pick up one pin out of the carpet, and so that's not very useful to me. So this one is really, really great. I think that you'll really enjoy it. Another great thing that I found that I used with the collage quilt and with a whole bunch of other things, I'm going to talk to you about my collage quilt in a minute, is these perfect scissors. I was holding them upside down. These perfect scissors by Mary Kay Buckley. And I know a lot of you have used her stuff before. And I used a couple years ago those Tim Holtz serrated edge scissors, which I also really, really love. But these ones are really an awesome size. They're very sharp, and they come with this little blade protector. But they have a micro serrated edge on one of the blades, so it grabs onto the fabric. They're super sharp, super pointy, and it grabs onto the fabric, so it allows you to cut a really nice, clean line. That serrated edge kind of grabs on, and it minimizes fraying because of that little tiny serrated edge. They're very comfortable to hold. The handles are squishy and soft. And so for someone like me that has some pretty significant hand issues with arthritis and things, I am always on the hunt for scissors that don't hurt me if I have to cut a lot. And when I was making my collage quilt, I was cutting a lot. So these are really, really great little pair of scissors. If you don't have these, now's a good chance to pick those up. Another really great genius idea is this new quilt hanging tool that also has a clever name. It's called Hang It Dang It. And I have often struggled with how to hang quilts on the wall in a way that is easy, keeps them level, doesn't require a ton of work on my part. And this is a really awesome little tool. It comes in several different sizes, and this size extends from 36 inches to 63 inches. And what you do is you sew a little pocket of fabric at the top of your quilt on the back, and then it comes with this little hanger part that clips over this extending pole part. So the pole extends out, and you put it through the pocket that you sew on the back, and then you clip the pole back into the little hanger part, and it clips right over the fabric. You put it in the middle, and then it has this little hole for you to put over your nail or whatever you're hanging it on, and it's self-leveling. It works really slick, really, really easy to do, and then it's really fast to change out what quilt you have hanging on that space for seasonal items and things like that. So super easy to switch out hanging a quilt, just takes a couple minutes, and as long as you sew your fabric sleeve straight across the back of your quilt is going to self-level and just snap right in there and hang. If it isn't perfectly level, like if you didn't sew it perfectly straight, you can just slide this along. You can take it back off or slide it down and clip it back on just a little bit to one side or the other to make it hang level again. Again, this is one of those great ideas that I kind of wish that I had come up with myself, and it just makes hanging those quilts really quick and easy. So it's called Hang It Dang It. Comes in a couple different sizes. I think you'll really enjoy this. I'm really excited to tell you about the knitted star quilt. I've seen this pattern by Lo and Behold Stitchery for a little while, and I've seen some beautiful variations of it. I just love the really traditional, almost like Fair Isle sweater look of this. And I think it's going to be a really fun quilt that isn't just specifically Christmassy, although I've seen a red and white version, and I've also seen a green and red and white version of this that are just beautiful. But I decided to do mine more just for winter. So I went with the traditional blue and white version of this. So I made the wall hanging size. This is the size of the blocks, and so the wall hanging will go like this. It is a lot of piecing. However, the directions are very clear and easy to follow, and because you do strip piecing and then cut it, it really goes pretty quickly and comes together pretty quickly. One of the keys to making sure that this is going to look nice when you're all done is pressing. You really do have to take the time to press all of those seams when you're strip piecing and then piecing all your little pieces that you cut from your strips together. So I wanted to be able to show you the pressing on the back of this. Taking the time and using lots of steam to really press all those seams open is going to reduce bulk where you have lots of seams coming together, and it's also going to make the finish on the front really look crisp and clean and make sure that your corners all look crisp and clean. So accurate cutting, accurate piecing, making sure that you pin those where the seams come together, and making sure that you press those seams open is going to make all the difference in the finished product for this quilt. But I think I'm absolutely going to love it for winter, and I think it'll look really good. The next project that I want to talk to you about is, you guys know that I have really fallen in love with these Laura Heine Collage Quilts. And this is a new pattern for her, and it's called the Gingerbread House. And I just thought it was just the cutest thing ever. I love the creativity in it. I love all the different elements that she has on this gingerbread house. But I started a couple years ago a tradition with my grandchildren of making Halloween gingerbread houses and making them haunted houses instead of making Christmas gingerbread houses. And I used chocolate graham crackers as the base because my grandkids are pretty little still, and so doing it out of actual chocolate gingerbread would have been pretty tricky for them. So we have been doing those, and they're really fun, and they turn out really cute. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, I'm gonna make this into a haunted house gingerbread house. And so that is what I did. I did not change the sizing of this quilt at all. This is the size that the pattern is. And I had so much fun finding all different kinds of Halloween fabric that is candy or looks like candy to like make the roof. I cut out all the little candy corns and made fences out of lollipops and things like that. And then finding all the really cute Halloween fabric that has little things that you could cut out. So little trick-or-treaters of different styles and different kinds. I found fabric that had these fun windows with cats in them. I like this little mariachi band of skeletons that can be walking along the sidewalk here. Tombstones. We've got a little graveyard up here, lots of bats and witches and things like that. It was so much fun to put together and just keep adding elements. Instead of a dog in the doghouse, we have a little ghost. That is just really fun. I found some fun moon fabric to give me a nice big harvest moon up there in the sky, adding in little witches and bats and things like that. The other thing that I did is I did fall trees that look like fall leaf colors instead of her Christmas trees. So I kind of followed along with the same placement and everything that she has, but I turned them into like fall leaf trees. This was so much fun to put together and do, and I came up with so many fun Halloween fabrics. And makers now, designers, are really, really going all out with Halloween fabrics. It's become so popular the last few years. And so you can find all kinds of really cool little Halloween fabrics that make great cuttables for these collage quilts. I think that my grandkids are going to lose their little minds. And there's so much to look at on this. They're just going to have so much fun finding all the little elements and the little things that I've included on there. And it just comes together really fun. As you know, the collage quilts are like a completely different craft. It's almost more like scrapbooking, and it's super forgiving. You almost can't make a mistake. So if you haven't tried one, I encourage you to do that. They're really, really fun to work with. I really fell in love with this beautiful book, and it's beautifully bound hardcover, called Urban Quilting by Wendy Chow. And she just has some gorgeous patterns in here that are very contemporary looking, and it's beautifully photographed. She talks about her quilting philosophy. She gives a little history of quilts. She leads you through how to get started, what tools you need. So it really is geared toward any beginner quilter. And I really like that these quilting designs and styles, for one thing, you know that I am a fan of more contemporary quilt designs. And I think that it really is going to make this craft appealing to the next generation when we have some really interesting and more contemporary looks. Most contemporary quilts use solids much more, and her quilts use lots and lots of solids. She has a glossary of terms, and for each quilt pattern, she gives you lots of different variations. Here's one that I think I'm going to do next called Boat Pond. Again, great use of negative space here. And it almost looks like origami, these boats do. I really like how that turned out. And then she gives you several different colorways and inspiration that you can use. So each of her patterns does this. The other thing is each of her patterns comes with a story of how she was inspired to create this particular quilt pattern. And as a retired English teacher, I just love anything that has a story behind it. The quilt behind me is a variation of courthouse step blocks, strip piecing, and log cabin blocks. She calls it her museum steps quilt. I made she has wall hanging, baby, and throw sizes. I made the throw size. She talks about her visits to museums in New York City, specifically the Met, and how this really inspired, her love of the Met really inspired this quilt. And she calls it the museum steps. She gives you several different color inspiration ways. And when I saw this, I really loved this pattern. And then I had bought this beautiful fat quarter bundle of this new fabric line. And they're solids, but they have a little bit of texture in them. And because I had the whole spectrum of the colorways, I decided to do this quilt and do it with an ombre effect. So instead of just using 4 different fabrics, like 4 different solids like she has, I used 4 different colors and then did a gradation of light to dark. And so this was really fun for me to put together and kind of thinking about which color did I want to represent the museum steps part of it that's going to flow throughout. So I used the yellows, and then I had to think about how I want to do the gradation, and I did that with the red going light to dark and then back out to light. And same thing with the blue in the center, dark in the center, going out in both directions. And thinking about where I'm going to place the light and the dark as each of these blocks are turned in different ways. It was really fun to put together, and I think the effect, because I used this ombre effect with the gradation of colors and the yellow, it kind of makes this quilt glow a little bit. It just looks so vibrant, so I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. But her instructions are really clear, really good, and easy to follow. I love the stories that go with it, and I think her patterns are really just beautiful. There's a couple other I really like. I like this one called Chinatown. And all of her patterns are really graphic looking. I also really like this one. It's called Crosstown Buzz. And it looks like things flying, birds or butterflies or insects or something. I just really enjoy it. I think this is a beautifully photographed book. Her directions are really clear, and I think her quilt designs are just gorgeous. And again, based on what fabrics you choose, can go in any decor and would be a great gift to help somebody really get started on quilting. All right, thank you for joining us for So Fun this month. I really had fun making these projects for you, and I hope that you have been inspired and that you will find something that you want to make as well. Have a great month.